Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. I am joined today by a chap called Jack Barratt. Hello, Jack.
Good afternoon.
Good, thanks for joining us on Panwo TV.
No problem, thank you.
And you're a part of Truth Seekers North East.
I am indeed, yes.
Oh, cool. That's brilliant. There's a lot of people up here in this group. I wanted to talk to you about these books you've written. Now, I've had a quick look through them,
Okay.
and this one in particular, I think, interested me. The Power of the Lord.
All right.
Tell us the story behind this.
I've travelled all over the world, and as a result, the travels create ideas. You see things, you hear things, you experience things. The books I've written, from 1 to 6, are essentially about experiences, things I've seen, felt, and I've condensed them into what I think is a story that would be readable, hence the books. The Power of the Lord is driven by religious intent, although I'm not really a religious guy, but when I travel the world, you hear people talk about different types of religion, their beliefs, their ideas, expectations, and a lot of the faiths that I've come across are very indicative of the people who go to these faiths. That in mind, The Power of the Lord is about a book that suggests that God or his son may come back in the future and rectify some of the errors that man has and is making.
It's interesting. It's actually a novel. It's but like myself, I write novels, like my own books here, which have kind of serious intent behind them, and they're about. It's kind of like putting stories, telling real stories with imaginary stories.
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
And it's set in Chicago, USA, and it's the most remarkable. I mean, from what I've read of it, and I didn't have time to read it in detail.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I did find the bits I looked at gripping, because it's about a messianic figure who appears in society, and for the most and like the first time this happened with Jesus, is the most unlikely source.
Yes. The thing is, people aspire to hope and belief that things can be better than they are, and with a higher divine intervention, that belief is that somebody can come, some force can come and put all that's wrong right. The idea of this book is it's coming to modern day. It brings in modern intent with modern ideas based on archaic religious past type of idea. So this is the modern version of the original Bible, but with a more involved twist in the people that's involved, the situations it created, and the people of power that connect with the story as it unfolds into its final conclusion.
I've always been interested in like comparative mythology and comparative theology, and I've noticed that there's certain things that lots of beliefs have in common, and one of those is the descent of man and the ascent and the ascent of man. That is what's sometimes known as the apocalypse, which it's often referred to as almost like the end of the world, like we have terms like zombie apocalypse or nuclear apocalypse. But the word actually means revelation, unveiling, exposure, disclosure. And so the story goes. I mean, it can be seen in the story of Adam and Eve, which I don't particularly consider that to be a literal story. I don't believe there was a talking snake literally, but it's obviously symbolic of the relationship between humanity and the divine.
I agree, yes.
And that somehow something happened, like we were in a higher state of civilization, and somehow we fell to a lower state. We fell from grace, we fell from grace. Have you found that when you go around the world, look at different people?
I've seen every element of how people have fallen from a particular grace. The biggest thing in Africa is obviously the poverty and the governmental involvement in people's lives. There's an element of suppression in life created by others, and this suppression is how I see the end result. So if you were here at one point in life, gradually you've gone down to a poverty state. That's where the hope and belief and aspirations of people are. They've seen the suppression, seen the force of somebody greater, stronger, more financially viable than them, and it's put them in a lesser position, be it a physical, emotional, mental or financial. But from that state, the hope and belief that it will always get better is what's people's aspirations. The book is that, and the book is based on the things I've seen around the world about how people balance a religion into a faith, into a belief, into an overriding hope that these particular forces spiritual or whatever may make their lives a bit better, you know. And this particular book is based on an idea that we will get better at some point based on the fact that this higher force can give us some sort of assistance. It's a hope and belief. It's a faith thing.
It is, and it's like, and it's something I take home from myself, because, of course, we live in a horrible, in many ways it's a horrible world.
Yes.
You know, people can be horrible, and at some point though, you just, there's something, it seems to be this idea of the apocalypse is always there.
Constantly.
You know, I mean, even when, at my hospital we used to have people come in who had been subjected to violence, and I thought to myself, how can someone do that to another person?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's unthinkable, yet they do. And I think to myself, you know, are we just an evil species? And of course, we do evil things. We can be influenced by evil.
Always.
There is a demonic power. There is a dark power in the universe, but there's a power of light as well.
There's a dark power in people, and the thing is with this darkness, everything has a yin and yang value in life. We have 50% good, we have 50% bad, or in many cases we have 70% good, 30% bad. There's not a norm, it's just 100% of something in an equation. It's an equation in how people respond to the good or the bad in them and or around them.
So you, I mean, like myself, do you feel right now, and I certainly think this, that we may be approaching that moment, we may be getting close to that moment where we do.
We're approaching something that is or has a terminal value. A lot of the things I see and feel from where I've been all over the world, people work across a time scale. You're born, you live, you die. It's the content of that has its own intrinsic value to people. But people only see an end result when they have an illness, when they see death, when they see war, and that gives a sudden value to time. In the current state, in the way we are now with COVID-19 and the viruses, people now are looking at a terminal point. This has an effect on their lives, an effect on their family, an effect on their income, their work, their projection along the birth, life, death line. Yes, there's something coming. Yes, there is something there. What that is at the moment is difficult to quantify, but we are in a different place, in a different time, and it's real. It's real.
It's a good time to be alive to experience that, I think.
It's an interesting time, yeah, for sure.
Possibly we're in this world, and I'd say to people watching this at home, maybe you have come into this world to be a part of that transformation. Could be.
Possible.
You've got another book here, Cancer, A State of Mind by Jack Barratt. Now this is a bigger book. I haven't had a chance to read it in detail, but
it's deep.
Yeah. Cancer, A State of Mind. What's that?
I was working in Africa, in Nigeria. I've spent a lot of time in the African continent from 2004 through to the current day. A lot of the jobs I do are quite high level in marine operations or oil and gas, and it's just one of the things that I do. When I work away to focus the mind, I write. This particular book, I was managing an operation on the Benin River, which is quite a difficult place to access. It's very much Tarzan-like country. There's no electricity, there's no water, there's no sanitation. The houses are built from twigs and mud. It's as far back in time as you would ever be. So I'm sat on a fairly modern ship with 600 people working around me. I have 2 other tankers alongside me. And when the day is done, this is where I go to get away. So from a conversation on one of the ships by one of the Indian crew, it sparked an idea. So I started to write book 4, which is Cancer, A State of Mind, and book 5, The Hypnotic Touch, which is about hypnosis.
This is it, Hypnotic Touch. So this is this to do with healing? What did you discover from when you were writing these books?
This one was almost a compelled feeling, as if I had to write the book. The ideas came thick and fast. I don't struggle to create something, it just comes easily. But the determination to write this particular book in a time scale was very, very prevalent. So I wrote the book, and this one was in tandem with that one. This was slightly ahead, but so driven was I to write Cancer, A State of Mind that in 19 days I wrote 22,500 words. So it was push, 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 push. The idea of the book is how you think about a cancer. It's a story about a boy who develops cancer, and it's about the emotions, the life-changing the highs, the lows that go with it, and it's a story about cancer. The ironic thing was that after I'd written this book and was starting to go through publishing, I got cancer. And I had cancer when I was writing the book, and I didn't know.
So it could be somehow subconsciously you knew it. And what you describe in the writing process, writing it so quickly and so, it's what I sometimes experience as an author myself, which could be described as almost channels writing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it has a value coming from somewhere, being driven by something, and yeah, it's potentially a channel thing. So I feel that a lot.
It's amazing if you start writing. The same musicians and painters have the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So what did you discover? Like, if someone had cancer and you gave them this book, what would they get from this book? Do you think?
I've seen lots, and I mean lots of different responses. Some people struggle to read it because of the emotional value and the pain, especially if they have family and friends that have been through a particular cancer or a terminal disease. And I've had other people, one lady in particular had AIDS and various other things that were killing her essentially. She'd given up. So a friend of mine who was her partner gave her the book, and she read the book and she was inspired and fought, and now she's out of hospital. So whatever you get from the book is based on your own value, what you've been through, what you've experienced, how you feel, emotional content, apprehension, comprehension of the wording. There's a lot of things, there's a myriad of things. But that book is very much a book to different people wanting different end results. It's a heavy read, and I know it is, but in the main what I've got back is, wow, it's a good read because of where it goes and what it represents in the person's life who would be or had cancer.
Speaking from your own experience as well.
Yeah. Well, what I wrote in the book was very much how I felt. So it was weird how it transpired, but anyhow, that's what the end result was.
And at the same time you were writing that, you had the also urge to write this, Hypnotic Touch.
Yeah.
And what's this about?
I am a qualified hypnotherapist, psychotherapist and clinical hypnotherapist. It was a part-time hobby, and I have had a long experience with hypnosis. From cancerous state of mind, there are similar things in there which touch on the hypnosis value and all types of hypnosis. This particular book represents how a guy who's down in his luck tries to change his life using skills that he's acquired in earlier times. He uses hypnosis to alter his life path and take him on a journey better than what he was travelling at the moment. It's not a complicated book, but it covers complicated issues. It's not a story about self-help and hypnosis. This is about a guy that wants to get out of this way and into that way using whatever skills he has. The hypnosis is the tool, his mind has the power, and his development's based on the hypnotic skills he uses to get what he wants and where he wants to be.
This is another sort of allegorical novel, do you say?
Yeah.
Like the Power of the Lord.
Yes, it has, but there are elements within that book that come from reality. The same as every book has elements of reality in them based on things that I've gone through. Book 5 is a complicated but complex read that makes you read more. So it drives you to go to the end. So I'm told. I've
heard it said, someone said that every single novel is a crypto-autobiography. In other words, the author is putting that, and I suppose there's some truth to that. My own books have been inspired by my own experiences. And would you say the same for yours?
Absolutely, 100%. Very much so.
Now your last book is this, the Hypnotic Touch, the Dark Side of Life. So it's got the same title, it's got this additional subtitle, The Dark Side of Life.
Yes.
And it's that there. And so, what's that about?
This is an idea I've had based on hypnotic experiences and people I've put through hypnosis. And this is a representation of how the power of hypnosis could be used in military and governmental terms. There are things that have been explored years and years ago by the US military and how hypnosis can be used, NLP can be used to secrete information and extract information from people. This book is about how that would have been used had it been done in the way that I envisage it. So this is to deal with hypnosis and terrorism and the management of terrorism using a particular skill. It's the same guy, it's the next book on from the same guy. He has evolved from the base life experience and gone into a more complicated military life experience, using hypnosis as a tool and as a weapon. And I've been told this is one of the heaviest books people have read because the end result is extreme, but it's an extremity that I believe is feasible and possible.
I've read several books and I've watched several documentaries about mind control and about how the state uses it in various ways.
Yeah.
And of course, psychology is a double-edged sword. It can be used to heal and it can be used as a weapon of war.
Absolutely.
It has. And so, are you familiar with things like, you've read the Crazy Rulers of the World or the Men Who Stare at Goats and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things come down to remote access in the mind, how you can access somebody's psyche. The difficulty we have is that we don't see it on a day-to-day basis, and the things like the subliminal attacks from TV, which the old one was the Coca-Cola advert years ago, where they would send this signal through the TV and suddenly the sales of Coca-Cola went through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's the same with any other form of communication, from the media, from the government, from whatever source. Their intent is to deliver a message to you to get you to respond to them. It's a simple thing, but it's the damage, it's the complexity, it's the mode of communication. All these things are there, visibly there for us all now. So the books represent an element of that. It's not as deep as that, but it touches on the way we are and can be manipulated to do something that we don't really want to do.
You think this is regularly being done to people?
All the time.
Yeah, not just in like an official declared war situation, but generally the population and its relationship with the state.
This is small step syndrome. Everybody, if you want to do it now, and force a group to do something, it would be difficult. But if you feed them over a period of time, it's so subtle and so gently forced into people that you don't know what's happening. And by the time the particular force trying to manipulate gets to where they want you to be, you are almost there by design.
It's gradualism, isn't it? You know,
It's very much
I see it again and again. People look back and they think, how on earth did we get here?
Yeah,
and it's happened so slowly we didn't notice it.
Well, you watch anyone on the job for 40 years, if they work from 16 to retirement and they work with a company, they become indoctrinated to that company's policies, procedures, and you don't even know what's happening. And I've gone into jobs where, as a contractor, I would be different because I'm not managed by the HR process, the engineering process, the delivery process. And as you go in, you can look at it and overview it and say, well, that doesn't work, that's not right, this isn't good. But the people in there have been doing it for so long, they know no different. It's like institutionalisation in prisons. If you put them back into society, what do I do out here? This is terrible.
Yeah.
And we on the outside looking in, but on the outside we're being managed heavily. I think the books, the last two books, represent that view on life, that we are being managed by somebody, something, some other desire to create what they want us to be by their own particular methods.
I think that's definitely true. So if people want to get hold of your stories or your books, you've got a couple more here. Now these this is sort of these are a bit more off topic, but they're what are these about?
These two are erotic stories, based on experiences that I've come across, things I've seen, things I've heard. I've worked in every environment, onshore, offshore, every country around the world. You hear things, you pick things up, and you commingle them, and that's what these are, a commingling of instances from life, and they become two stories. The Erection was the first book and was to be the only book I wrote. Halfway through that one, I wrote the second one. Halfway through the second one, I wrote the third one. So the first one begat six. And it was just a thing that happened. So these are stories, I'm told are quite deep. I'm also told they're quite good. It's a personal choice, you know.
Yeah.
But these are nothing like the other four. These were just the original ideas of a writing, and that's what they are. So.
Okay. So if people want to find out more about you, do you have a website where people can look you up?
Information on the Amazon site. I don't have a website as such. Amazon sell the books, and two of the books, audio books as well, on Audible, but I don't have any information out there at the moment. It just works through the books at the moment.
So people can find out by Googling your name and the titles of the books.
Yeah. I have an email, it's jackbarratt@outlook.com. So if they want to communicate, they can do that, no problem. I'd be happy to respond to emails, so that'll be fine.
Of course, if any of you want to know more about Jack, I will put these links in the description box. Just go to that and you can find out more about Jack and what he does. So Jack Barratt, thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you very much.
Appreciate you being on Hypnotic TV. It's been interesting talking to you
Thank you.
about what you do.
Lovely, great, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you for watching, Hypnotic TV viewers. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.